Talk Ava. Learn English with confidence.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Talk Ava, where you learn real English through real conversations. If this is your first time here, you are in the right place. And if you are coming back, it is great to have you with us again.
Yes, welcome. Talk Ava is all about helping you understand how English actually works in real life, not just in textbooks. We focus on simple explanations, clear examples, and conversations that feel natural.
Before we begin, a quick note. If you enjoy learning English this way, make sure to like this episode, share it with a friend who is also learning English, and subscribe to Talk Ava so you do not miss future episodes. We are just getting started, and your support really helps us grow.
And today's episode is a very important one. We are going to talk about a small difference in English that actually says a lot about your level. It's something many learners do not notice at first, but once you understand it, you cannot ignore it.
That's right. Today we are focusing on the difference between will and would in conditional sentences. For example, if I see him, I will tell him, versus if I saw him, I would tell him.
At first, these sentences look very similar. The structure is almost the same, but the meaning is completely different, and using the wrong one can change your message in a big way.
And this is something that native speakers notice immediately, not because they are judging you, but because it changes how they understand what you're trying to say.
Exactly. You might think you're talking about something real and possible, but the listener might understand it as something imaginary or unlikely. So this is not just grammar. This is about being clear and accurate.
By the end of this episode, you will know exactly when to use will and when to use would in these situations. You will understand the logic behind it, and you will have enough practice to start using it confidently.
And as you listen, try to stay active. Think about your own examples. You can even pause and say sentences out loud. That small step makes a big difference in how well you remember.
Also, we would really like to hear from you. Tell us where you are listening from. It's always interesting to see how many different countries are part of the Talk Ava community. All right, let's begin. This is one of those lessons that can really improve how natural your English sounds. So before we start explaining the grammar, I want to begin with something simple and real. Let me ask you something directly, and I want you to actually think about your answer. If you had one free day with no responsibilities, what would you do? Write your answer in the comments using I would.
That's a very good question, and it already connects to today's topic without you even realizing it. Some people might say, I would sleep all day, or I would go somewhere quiet, or I would spend time with my family.
Exactly. And notice something important here. When you answer that question, you're not talking about a real plan. You're imagining a situation. That's why most people naturally use would in their answer.
And this is where many English learners get confused, because sometimes they say things like, if I will have a free day, I would relax. And something about that sentence feels a little off.
Yes, and I remember a situation like this very clearly. A friend of mine was learning English, and she said, if I will see my manager tomorrow, I would talk to him about my schedule.
That sounds close to correct, but not quite right.
Exactly. The meaning is not clear. Are you talking about a real future situation, or are you imagining something? The sentence mixes two different ideas, and that's where the confusion starts.
And this is very common. Learners often know the words will and would, but they're not always sure when to use each one. And because the structures look so similar, it's easy to mix them.
Another example I heard recently was, if I would have more time, I will learn English faster. Again, the speaker is trying to express a clear idea, but the structure creates confusion.
Yes, because part of the sentence sounds like a real future plan, and another part sounds imaginary. When those two ideas are mixed together, the listener has to guess what you mean.
And that's exactly what we want to fix today. We want your sentences to be clear, consistent, and natural so that your meaning is easy to understand.
Also, this is one of those grammar points that improves your English very quickly. It's not about learning many new words, it's about using the structures you already know in the correct way.
And once you understand this, you'll start noticing it everywhere, in conversations, in movies, in podcasts, and even in your own speech.
So, in this segment, we're just warming up your thinking. We're helping you notice the difference between real situations and imagined situations.
Because that's the key idea behind everything we're going to explain next.
Exactly. Once you understand that difference clearly, the grammar becomes much easier.
All right, now let's move step by step into the first main idea. We're going to start with will, and this is usually the easier one to understand because it connects to real-life situations.
Yes, this is what we call the first conditional. And the key idea here is simple. We're talking about something real, something possible, and usually something in the future. So let us look at the structure first, because structure gives you clarity. The formula is if plus present simple, then will plus base verb.
Let me say that again in a very clear way. First, you say if plus a present tense verb. Then, in the second part of the sentence, you use will plus the base form of the verb.
Here is a simple example. If I see her, I will talk to her. This means there is a real chance I might see her. It is possible. And if that happens, the result will follow.
Another example. If it rains, we will stay home. Again, this is a real situation. It might rain or it might not, but both outcomes are possible.
And this is the most important idea. You are not imagining something unrealistic. You are talking about something that could actually happen in your life.
Let us make this even clearer with a few more everyday examples. If I finish my work early, I will watch a movie. If she calls me tonight, I will answer. If we have enough time, we will visit the museum.
All of these are real possibilities. Nothing is imaginary. Nothing is impossible. These are normal future situations.
Now, let us talk about the negative form, because that is also important. You can say, if I do not, or the shorter form, if I don't.
For example, if I do not wake up early, I will miss the bus. Or more naturally, if I don't wake up early, I will miss the bus.
Another one, if she does not study, she will fail the exam. Again, very real, very possible.
Now, here is something many learners forget. You can also change the order of the sentence and the meaning stays exactly the same.
Yes, instead of starting with if, you can start with the result. For example, I will call you if I have time.
This is exactly the same as saying, if I have time, I will call you. The meaning does not change, only the order changes.
And this is very common in spoken English. Sometimes people start with the result because it feels more natural in conversation.
Now, let us pause for a moment and give you a small speaking exercise. This is important because listening alone is not enough. You need to actively use the structure.
So here's your task. Think about your next few days. Something real, something possible. Maybe your weekend, your work, or your plans.
Now complete this sentence out loud. If I have time tomorrow, I will.
You can say something like, if I have time tomorrow, I will go for a walk. Or, if I have time tomorrow, I will finish my assignment.
Good. That's exactly how you start building confidence. Simple, real, possible situations.
Now that you're comfortable with will, let us move to the second structure, which is would. And this is where things become a little more interesting.
Yes, because now we are not talking about real situations anymore. We are moving into imagined situations, things that aren't true right now.
This is called the second conditional, and the key idea is not real, imagined, or a different reality.
The structure is also slightly different. It is if plus past simple, then would plus base verb.
Now, this is very important. Even though we use a past tense verb, we are not talking about the past. We're talking about the present or future, but in an imaginary way.
Let us look at a clear example. If I saw her, I would talk to her. This means I do not see her in real life. It's just a possibility in my imagination.
Compare that with the earlier sentence. If I see her, I will talk to her. One is real and possible. The other is imaginary.
Here's another example. If I were rich, I would travel the world. This means I am not rich now. This is just a dream or a hypothetical idea.
And notice something important here. We say, if I were you, not if I was you, especially in more standard English. So we say, if I were you, I would take that opportunity.
Yes, if I were you is one of the most common expressions in English. It's used to give advice.
For example, if I were you, I would talk to your boss. Or if I were you, I would start studying earlier.
This is very useful in real conversations because it sounds polite and indirect. You are not telling someone what to do. You are suggesting it in a softer way.
And that brings us to another important point. Would is often used for politeness.
Yes, for example, instead of saying, I want help, which can sound direct, you can say, I would like some help.
Or instead of give me more time, you can say, I would appreciate more time.
So, would is not only for imaginary situations. It also helps you sound more polite and natural in English.
Now, let us look at a few more examples to make this clear. If I had more time, I would learn another language.
If we lived closer, we would visit more often.
If he knew the answer, he would tell us.
In all of these sentences, the situation is not true right now. That is the key point. You are imagining a different reality.
Let us also do a short speaking exercise for this structure.
Think about something you wish was different in your life right now.
Now complete this sentence out loud. If I had more time, I would...
Maybe you say, if I had more time, I would travel more. Or, if I had more time, I would learn a new skill.
Try another one. If I were in a different city, I would...
For example, if I were in a different city, I would explore new places.
So now you can feel the difference between will and would. One is real and possible, the other is imagined and not true right now.
And this difference is the foundation of everything we will build in the next part of the episode.
Yes, because once this idea becomes clear in your mind, the rest becomes much easier.
Now that we have looked at both structures separately, this is the moment where everything starts to connect. We're going to put will and would side by side so you can clearly feel the difference.
Yes, because understanding them individually is helpful, but the real clarity comes when you compare them directly. That is when the meaning becomes very obvious.
Let us start with a simple pair. Listen carefully. If I meet him, I will tell him. If I met him, I would tell him.
At first, these two sentences look almost identical, but the meaning is not the same at all.
The first one, if I meet him, I will tell him, is real and possible. Maybe you will meet him. There's real chance. It could happen today, tomorrow, or sometime soon.
The second one, if I met him, I would tell him, suggests that meeting him is not likely or maybe not possible right now. You're imagining the situation.
So even though only one word changes from meet to met and from will to would, the entire meaning shifts from real to imaginary.
Let us look at another pair to make this clearer. If she calls, I will answer. If she called, I would answer.
Again, the first sentence is about a real possibility. She might call. You are expecting it, or at least it's possible.
But the second sentence feels more distant. If she called, I would answer, suggests that she probably won't call, or you're just thinking about the situation in theory.
Let us do one more pair to make this very clear. If we have time, we will visit them. If we had time, we would visit them.
In the first sentence, you're talking about a real plan. Maybe you are checking your schedule, maybe there's a chance.
In the second sentence, you are expressing a limitation. You are saying that right now you don't have time. You are imagining what would happen in a different situation.
So here's what you should focus on. Don't just look at the grammar. Try to feel the meaning behind the sentence.
Yes, that's very important. Ask yourself, does this feel real and possible, or does it feel like a situation that is not true right now?
Another useful way to understand this is to think about distance. The first conditional feels close to reality. The second conditional feels more distant from reality.
Let us take one more example and slow it down. If I get the job, I will move to a new city. If I got the job, I would move to a new city.
The first one sounds like you are waiting for a result. Maybe you had an interview. Maybe you're expecting news.
The second one sounds more like a thought or a dream. It feels less real, more hypothetical.
So when you listen to English or when you speak, try to notice that feeling. That difference is the key.
Now that we have compared them side by side, let us give you a practical tool that you can use every time you feel unsure.
Yes, this is something very simple, but very powerful.
Here is the key question you should ask yourself. Is this real or imagined?
If the situation is real and possible, then you use the first conditional with will.
If the situation is imagined, not true, or unlikely, then you use the second conditional with would.
Let us apply this question to a few examples. If I see my friend later, I will talk to her. Is this real or imagined?
This is real. It could happen, so will is correct.
Now look at this one. If I saw my friend right now, I would talk to her.
This is imagined. Maybe you are not going to see her, so would is correct.
Now here's the bonus trick, and this is very helpful if you are still not sure.
Yes, after your sentence, try adding this phrase, and that might actually happen.
For example, if I have time tonight, I will cook dinner, and that might actually happen.
That sounds natural. It makes sense. So the first conditional works.
Now try it with the second conditional. If I had a private chef, I would never cook, and that might actually happen.
That does not sound realistic, so you know this is imaginary, and the second conditional is correct. Let us try one more together. If it rains tomorrow, I will stay home, and that might actually happen.
Yes, that works. It's a real possibility.
Now this one. If I lived on the moon, I would look at Earth every day, and that might actually happen.
That clearly does not make sense in real life, so again, this confirms that it is imaginary.
This small trick can help you check your sentence very quickly. It gives you a simple way to test your thinking.
And over time, you will not need to use this trick anymore. You'll start to feel the difference naturally.
So remember these two tools. First, ask yourself, is this real or imagined? Second, try adding, and that might actually happen.
If it fits, use will. If it does not, use would.
And that simple process can help you avoid one of the most common mistakes in English.
Now, we are going to focus on something very practical. We'll look at the most common mistakes learners make with will and would. Understanding these mistakes will help you avoid them in your own speaking.
Yes, and it's important to say this clearly. Making mistakes is part of learning. Everyone makes them. The goal is not to be perfect, but to become more aware and more consistent.
Let us start with the first mistake, which is mixing the two structures in one sentence. For example, someone might say, if I will see him, I would tell him.
This sentence has a problem because it combines will and would in a way that doesn't match. The first part sounds like a real future situation, but the second part sounds imaginary.
To fix this, you need to decide what you mean. If the situation is real and possible, you should say, if I see him, I will tell him.
And if the situation is imagined, you should say, if I saw him, I would tell him.
The key idea is that both parts of the sentence must match. You cannot mix the first conditional and the second conditional in the same sentence.
The second common mistake is using will in the if clause. For example, if I will have time, I will call you.
This is very common, but in English, we don't use will after if in these types of sentences.
The correct version is, if I have time, I will call you. The if clause uses the present simple, not will.
So remember this clearly. After if, use present simple for real situations or past simple for imaginary situations. Do not use will in that part.
The third mistake is confusing the past form in the second conditional. Many learners think that had or saw means past time. But in this structure, the past form does not mean past time. It signals that the situation is not real.
For example, if I had more time, I would exercise more. This does not mean you had more time in the past. It means you do not have more time now.
So, think of the past form here as a signal of distance from reality, not a signal of past time.
The fourth mistake is overusing would. Some learners try to use would everywhere because it sounds more advanced.
For example, if I would see her, I would talk to her.
This is incorrect because would should not be used in the if clause.
The correct version is, if I saw her, I would talk to her.
So remember, would belongs in the result part of the sentence, not in the if part.
If you keep these 4 mistakes in mind, you will already sound much more natural and clear.
Now it is time to practice together. This is where you test your understanding.
We will give you a situation and 2 options. Choose the correct sentence. If possible, say your answer out loud before we explain it.
Let us begin with situation 1. You're planning your evening. There is a real chance you will finish your work early.
Option A. If I finish early, I will go for a walk. Option B. If I finished early, I would go for a walk.
Take a moment and choose your answer.
Option A is correct. This is a real and possible situation, so we use the first conditional with will.
Situation 2. You are imagining a different life where you live by the ocean.
Option A. If I live by the ocean, I will swim every day. Option B. If I lived by the ocean, I would swim every day.
Think about it carefully.
Option B is correct. This is not your real situation. You are imagining it, so we use the second conditional with would.
Situation 3. Your friend might call you tonight. It's possible.
Option A. If she calls me, I will answer. Option B. If she called me, I would answer.
Choose your answer.
Option A is correct. This is a real and possible situation.
Situation 4. You are thinking about what you would do if you had a different job.
Option A. If I have a different job, I will feel happier. Option B. If I had a different job, I would feel happier.
Take a moment.
Option B is correct. This is imaginary, not your current reality.
Let us do one more. Situation 5. There is a chance it will rain tomorrow.
Option A. If it rains tomorrow, we will cancel the trip. Option B. If it rained tomorrow, we would cancel the trip.
Think about it.
Option A is correct. This is a real future possibility.
If you got B's correct, that is a very good sign. It means you are starting to understand the difference clearly.
And if you made a few mistakes, that's completely fine. The important thing is that now you understand why one option is correct.
Now we are coming to the end of this episode, so let us do a quick and clear recap.
First, we talked about the first conditional using will. This is for real and possible situations.
The structure is if plus present simple, then will plus base verb.
For example, if I have time, I will call you.
Second, we talked about the second conditional using would. This is for imaginary or unreal situations.
The structure is if plus past simple, then would plus base verb.
For example, if I had more time, I would learn something new.
The most important question to ask yourself is simple. Is this real or imagined?
If it's real, use will. If it's imagined, use would.
And remember the small trick. Add, and that might actually happen. If it fits, it's real. If it doesn't, it's imaginary.
You have done very well today. This is not an easy topic, but it is a very important one.
Before you go, here is something to think about. What is one thing in your life that you would change if you could?
Try to say it using the second conditional. For example, if I had more time, I would...
For example, if I have time tomorrow, I will.
Write both sentences in the comments. We would really like to read them.
And if this episode helped you, don't forget to like it, share it with someone who's learning English, and subscribe to Talk Ava for more lessons like this.
We are just getting started, and your support helps us continue creating useful content.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of Talk Ava.